friends, welcome to the All-Canadian Reptile Girl. I'm Annaliese, and if all goes well, I'll be going to bed with the same number of appendages that I woke up with this morning. Because the species behind me here is the second largest reptile species on the planet, has arguably the strongest bite force of any living animal, can run or swim at speeds over 30 kilometers an hour, is exceptionally intelligent, and a known man-eater. Let's meet, from a respectful distance, the Nile Crocodile. Hi, buddy. Nice to meet you. I'm here at Reptilia Indoor Reptile Zoo in London, Ontario. Behind me is the Nile Crocodile enclosure. Nile crocodiles are one of my favorite reptile species. They are unquestionably awesome, but you don't really get the scope or the scale of them until you see them in person. When you are just right there, separated by only a pane of glass, you get a whole new appreciation for their size. And these guys aren't even that big. I mean, they're enormous, but they are still far short of the Nile crocodile's max size at over 6 meters long and over 1,000 kilograms. Let's have my friend Cody, one of Reptilia's zookeepers here, tell us a bit about these two in this enclosure.
I'm Cody. We're here in front of our Nile Crocodile exhibit with our two Nile Crocodiles. They are a bonded pair. We have our male, who's just behind me on my left here, Pearl. He's somewhere between 13.5 and 14 foot long, weighing in at about 1,500 pounds. And we have our female, who is swimming around towards the inner part of the exhibit there. She's around 11 foot long and closer to about 850 pounds. So these two animals are some of our biggest attraction animals. Everybody comes to see the Nile Crocodiles. They are a massive addition and one that all of our Reptilia location loves to have in because they draw in a crowd and really help promote the conservation efforts and show people that these aren't just mindless killing machines, that they do have large personalities and a very, very high level of intelligence. These two animals were some of the only animals that Reptilia does purchase. They are two of, I believe, the 5 in our London facility. Everything else is a surrender, rescue, donation, or confiscation. Pearl there is one of the largest crocodiles in all of Canada, with the other two contenders being at our Vaughan and Whitby facilities. They are a bonded pair, so they get along fantastically well, especially with Valentine's Day rolling around. They have been more than in the mood. We're actually going to be feeding them today, and they're going to be getting some stillborn piglets that a farmer has so generously donated to us, a couple of meat rabbits, as well as some pork, beef, and lamb that have been donated from some various customers today. If you are stopping by throughout March break and even later on, we will be doing feedings with them that the public can come in and watch anytime.
Nile crocodiles are apex predators found throughout sub-Saharan Africa, living in rivers, lakes, and marshes, puddles even if they're big enough. Basically any water that they can ambush prey from or escape the heat in. Like all living crocodilians, they are supremely adapted to life in the water, with streamlined bodies and webbed feet and a powerful tail that can propel them through the water at speeds of really, really scary super fast. But make no mistake, these guys can move with tremendous speed on land too, just not for very long.
Very dangerous over short distances.
Crocodilians may look lizard-like in their body plan, but they are actually far, far more closely related to birds than they are to any other lizards. And like their birdie cousins, but unlike any other reptiles, they are powered by a highly efficient mammal-like 4-chambered heart, as opposed to the 3 chambers that all other non-avian reptiles have. This means that they are far more efficient at getting oxygen where it needs to be, kind of like putting a jet engine on a tank. It's a bit overkill if you ask me. Their 4-chambered heart ensures that they are ready to expend a tremendous amount of energy at a moment's notice, and for a much longer duration than another reptile species would be able to. Which is good, because what they eat can be very big. Their hunting strategy is pretty typical amongst crocodilians. They are ambush predators that prefer to hide nearly invisible at the water's edge, waiting for a zebra, antelope, or buffalo, or any other delicious new friend to approach, and then whammo. They strike with explosive speed, clamping down those massive jaws with a force of up to 5,000 PSI. Once they are locked in, it's pretty much game over. They will drag their prey underwater, drown it, and eat up. Crocs can't chew their food. Even the biggest croc can't swallow an adult zebra or buffalo whole. So crocs use a variety of techniques to separate their prey from themselves. The most impressive and iconic is the death roll. This is where a croc will rotate really fast while gripping its prey tightly. The massive rotational forces can easily tear off legs or other body parts into much more easily swallowed bits. Another impressive and effective technique is to just smash the prey. Getting a good grip, the croc will raise up high and then violently whip its head about, flinging the prey over its head and smashing it back down, resulting in a some assembly required version of whatever animal it was. I actually saw a video of a saltwater croc doing this to a mannequin. It was a mannequin in Indonesia. It was terrifying to say the least, as I'm sure you can imagine. While Nile crocodiles usually ambush their prey at the water's edge, they are capable of running down prey on land or swimming down prey who are brave, desperate, or foolish enough to think that they might be able to outswim the crocs and access more fertile areas on the other side of the river. Folks, the grass may be greener on the other side, but sometimes the trip isn't worth it, eh? I guess that the lesson is, don't be afraid to try something new, but be aware that you might get eaten. If being a massive animal that can somehow disappear completely in a couple feet of water to ambush prey isn't impressive enough, some crocodiles have learned to set traps to get a meal to come to them. I'll get to that in a minute, but first, I want to have my friend Bryce Broom share some of his knowledge and experience learned from working hands-on with Nile crocs in their native range.
Hey, I'm Bryce, and this is Komodo, the West African dwarf crocodile. Isn't he just a stunner? But today we're not going to be talking about dwarf crocodiles. We're going to be talking about one of the largest crocodilians on the planet, the Nile crocodile. Now, believe it or not, crocodiles are actually some of the most intelligent reptiles out there. They may lack a huge, large brain, but their small little brain has a lot of computing power behind it. They are one of the only reptiles that actually have a true cerebral cortex. They are a bit smarter than you would think. For instance, this guy over here, I can call him up by name and he'll respond to me. But if there's somebody else in the vicinity that he doesn't know, then he will not come up because he doesn't feel very comfortable. But also, having said that, crocodiles are not pets, so don't even think about that. Now, in the wild, I've been able to witness some incredible behaviors and seen some pretty cool stuff in regards to the Nile crocodile. Crocodiles are just magnificent creatures that are widely misunderstood, and they are just, I can't even describe how much I love them. What fascinates me about the Nile crocodiles is their social intelligence and their social ability. They're one of the few crocodiles that actually do well together and are able to hunt together as well, assuming different roles to different individuals. For instance, your larger crocodile might be the takedown crocodile, whereas your other smaller crocodiles might channel the prey item into that area where the bigger crocodile can then take it down. And that is using their social intelligence to work together to fill their bellies and survive another day. I've even got to witness crocodiles in the open ocean. Well, in between the ocean and the estuary. Basically what they would do is they would position themselves in the waves facing the shoreline, so the waves would go over them, and then they would wait there with their mouths open. Why would they do this? Well, because they're actually pretty intelligent. Why waste energy swimming around catching fish when you don't need to? Because in this area where I was at, about 80% of Nile crocodile's diet is fish-based. So your barbel, catfish, those sorts of things were high on the list for these crocodiles. So they would wait there in the ocean with their mouths open, and every now and then you'd see it chomp down. Now, how would they know that a fish is nearby, especially when it's murky water and they cannot see anything? Well, they have these incredible integumentary sensory organs, which are these little nerve clusters on the end of each scale that sense pressure changes and are able to tell the crocodile, hey, there's something that's passing here, chomp down and you might get a meal, because it also senses electrical changes and a bunch of stuff that we actually don't even know completely what they do, which is even more fascinating. We can learn things every day about these animals. An interesting study was done on crocodiles that specifically target livestock, animals' livestock, when they take them down to the water. And they were wondering, like, why are they going for this livestock all the time? And in fact, because they're cattle, they have like a bell on them. So whenever these crocodiles would hear the bell, they would come up and know, okay, it's ready for some chow time.
Come and get it!
Now in the wild, during nesting season, which is this time of year in South Africa, these crocodiles are able to do something quite special that hasn't been published yet. Some of the data I know of the scientists that go out in the field and do this research found nesting crocodiles up to 1 kilometer, which is 1,000 meters away from the nearest water source. And you might think that's stupid. The water source is a safe place for a crocodile, especially when babies hatch out and they need to, you know, hide away, because baby crocodiles are food for everything. Birds, snakes, other crocodiles, lizards, you name it, they're on the menu. So that gets you thinking, why did this crocodile lay her eggs so far away? Well, this crocodile knew something that we didn't. It was going to be an incredibly wet season. The water levels were going to rise quite a bit. Yes, 1 kilometer away, but the elevation changes weren't that great because it was a flat area. So she had to walk the distance in order to get that elevation, in order to lay her eggs so that they wouldn't drown during the nesting process. And then they found areas in between her nest site and the water where she would rest a little bit and then go check on the eggs, which is absolutely beautiful. And then obviously take a while and carry these babies back to the water so they can start the new generation of Nile crocodiles. Not all of the Nile crocodiles in the area did that, but the fact that some of them did shows you that there's a little bit more intelligence up here than we might imagine. Now, crocodiles are just the best. Unfortunately, they are responsible for a high number of fatalities throughout Africa, especially in your rural areas. But that doesn't mean they're not cool. And I can talk about them for hours. But let me not waste your time. And remember, as Annaliese would say, remember to nurture all nature.
Thanks, Bryce. Friends, please go check out Bryce's channel. His videos are a ton of fun and he keeps some incredible reptile species. Go show him some support and tell him the All Canadian Reptile Girl sent you. Speaking of support, this video is brought to you by, well, you guys. It would be impossible for me to make videos like this without all of you watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing. So thank you all. An extra special thanks to all of my friends who support me on Patreon. All my patrons are awesome and I can't thank them enough. If you want to lend your support and see the additional content my patrons get, along with some new stuff for 2024, head on over to patreon.com/allcanadianreptilegirl. Thanks. Okay, as Bryce referenced, these guys are smart. And we don't actually know how smart they really are because they aren't all that inclined to show us. I mean, they're not like dogs, which seem really smart, and they are, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of animals with superior brain power or problem-solving capacities to dogs that most people label as dumb, or at least dumber than dogs. Dogs are super eager to please us and will do their best to accomplish what we want, just to make us happy. We attribute their ability to do stuff that we like and think of as smart to actual intellectual capacity, and that kind of skews our perception of both the dog's intelligence and the relative intelligence of other animals. We tend to view dogs as up here on the intelligence spectrum, but they're really more like here, which is a lot better than like down here where my orange cat Oscar is. Now, unlike my canine companions, crocs do what they want, when they want. So it can be a bit tricky to know what they are thinking. Add to that many species of crocodiles are happy to include humans on the menu, and that potential for digestion makes close, hands-on research inherently risky. But we do know that despite having a tiny brain relative to their size, They have a lot of computational power, as Bryce mentioned earlier, and are very likely the smartest group of reptiles that aren't birds. They have complex social hierarchies. They build and defend their nests and protect their young, even young that aren't theirs. They communicate, engage in play behavior. That is a huge indicator of intelligence. They can plan and coordinate hunting with each other, show forethought and planning for anticipated future events, problem solve and reason, and are the only reptile, again, that aren't birds, that uses tools, putting them in a very small, exclusive clique that only a handful of species on the planet belong to. Whew. New part of the zoo. Okay, these guys behind me aren't Nile crocodiles. These are American alligators. As far as crocodilians go, they're pretty easygoing.
All right.
As cute as these guys are and as sweet as they seem as babies, so cute. Please don't misunderstand me. Alligators are powerful predators, very dangerous and have eaten people. But relative to a Nile crocodile, these guys are teddy bears that tend to be also more willing to be trained by experienced folks who understand their behavior. I recommend Gator Boy Chris on Instagram. He's Florida's Wildest on YouTube if you want to learn more about alligator behavior and training. He's great. These are a lot easier for researchers to work with, so we know a lot more about them and can infer things about other crocodilians from what we learn with gators. And one of those things is that crocodilians can use tools. American alligators, along with mugger crocodiles in India and several other species, have been observed during bird nesting season, gathering up and collecting sticks. They're not just any sticks. No. They must be those that large wading birds are specifically looking for to make their nests. They, the crocs, collect a bunch, balancing them carefully on their snout and hide, submerged just enough that the sticks don't float away. And then, when a wading bird, probably marveling at their luck at finding the perfect pile of just the right sticks that they need to make a nest, comes over to collect their treasure, and well, you know. This displays incredible forethought, planning, problem solving, and awareness of pattern behavior and the needs of other animals. Do you guys get the scope of what this means? Alligators and crocodiles have learned how to lay traps for delicious nature photographers and researchers by making it look like they are using sticks to attract nesting birds. How cool is that? Nature is awesome. Now, as far as I'm aware, Nile crocodiles have not been observed using this particular technique. But the people who share their space with these incredible animals know that you cannot visit the water's edge to wash or collect water or bring livestock down to drink at the same time or same spot over multiple days. Nile crocodiles, and saltwater crocs too, and other species, are keenly observant and will very quickly identify any pattern or routine and will soon be laying in wait for an easy meal. As Bryce mentioned, they key in on the literal dinner bell some folks will put on their livestock. Pretty smart, eh? But to me, an even more impressive feat of brain power is on display with how the Nile crocodile survives the dry season. In many parts of their range, Nile crocodiles estivate for part of the year. Estivation is like brumation or hibernation, but for the opposite reason. Instead of sleeping away the coldest months, like broom-eating snakes do, crocs hunker down and sleep away the hottest and driest parts of the year. And they do this in burrows. Now you might think, whoop-de-doo, they burrow, no big deal. Sure, lots of animals do that when they need a place to rest, either digging their own or hijacking another animal's burrow. But this is different. You see, Nile crocodiles are the largest animal that makes a burrow, and no animal on the planet digs burrows as big or as deep as Nile crocodiles do. Up to 40 feet down, and when, where, and how they make their burrows implies an impressive amount of planning, cooperation, environmental, and situational awareness. Here's what happens. For most animals that wind down for a significant amount of time, they will wait until there's some kind of cue that tells them that it's time to start hunkering down. Changes in water levels, changes in precipitation, maybe something tied to breeding or migration, or temperatures that just start changing. Something tells them that it's time to get cozy. Nile crocodiles start and finish excavating their burrows months before they need them. Long before the dry season starts, they excavate hollows in the bank deep underwater, using their snouts and their claws to move the wet mud, allowing the current to sweep the tailings away and help erode the newly exposed soil. Over weeks or months, they will continue to hollow out the bank, creating massive caverns that are completely invisible from the surface. These burrows are only revealed when the water level drops during the dry season, and the croc will wait out the heat in a cool, damp, muddy burrow. Pretty cool. What's more is that most of the time, crocs don't do this alone. Up to 15 crocs have been observed chilling out in these earthwork projects, with the crocs all working together to excavate and shore up their shelter. They use a ton of energy on work that will not pay off until much later. Delayed gratification, something we brainy humans struggle with. They know how to excavate when their burrow will be underwater with softer ground, and that it needs to be a group effort. How they coordinate who does what, or how they determine what areas need to be shored up versus excavated further while shuffling around in a pitch black hole underwater is a mystery. But it's pretty incredible, eh? While Nile crocodiles rule the waterways of sub-Saharan Africa, well, hippos actually might have a thing or two to say about that title, but this video is not about them, and I don't see any hippos around, so meh. While crocs rule the waterways, millions of humans use those very same waterways to live, travel, hunt, fish, play, bathe, swim. Interactions between humans and crocs are inevitable and extend back over thousands of years. The Nile crocodile and other crocodilians have played a significant role in the religious beliefs and practices for various cultures throughout history. For example, in ancient Egypt, the Nile crocodile was considered a sacred animal and was associated with the god Sobek, seen as a protector of the pharaohs. You ever see a picture or hieroglyph of a man with the head of a crocodile? Yeah, that's the guy. The Nile crocodile is also an important symbol in various other traditional African religions too. In some cultures, it's seen as a symbol of power, fertility, and rebirth. In others, it's viewed as a dangerous and unpredictable force of nature. The crocodile is one of the animals associated with the gods Vishnu, Ganga, and Makara in Hinduism, representing power over the primordial waters of creation. They are mentioned in the Christian Bible as a symbol of danger and violence. In the book of Job, it is described as a fierce predator that cannot be tamed by humans. They've also been featured in various folk tales and legends throughout history. In some stories, it is depicted as a cunning and ruthless predator, while in others, it is seen as a wise and powerful creature that can grant wishes or provide guidance to humans. Our relationship with crocodiles is as complicated as it is long, and our modern world certainly adds a few new layers. I'm guessing that the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of folks when thinking about human and croc interactions is attacks on humans. We've mentioned a few times in the video that Nile crocodiles are known to attack humans who venture a little too close to their territory. Gustav is a famous Nile crocodile rumored to have killed and eaten over 300 people, all on his own. These guys are man-eaters, no question. Attacks can also be defensive or territorial, but they're usually predatory in nature, either targeting a human directly or attacking livestock and a human just gets nibbled trying to intervene. Probably no surprise that injuries of these kinds of encounters can be pretty severe and likely fatal, as being eaten often is. Don't usually recover from that, sorry to say. But it goes the other way too. Humans wreak havoc on croc populations, from locals preemptively killing crocs to protect themselves and their livestock, or through poaching for use in traditional medicine purposes, or for their highly valued skin used in making leather products. This is a huge problem that has led to significant declines in crocodile populations in many parts of their range. Thankfully, there are now massive conservation efforts, including habitat protection, education campaigns to raise awareness about the dangers of interacting with these reptiles, along with anti-poaching measures. Some areas have also implemented crocodile management plans to just reduce the risk of attacks on humans and livestock, and a big aspect of all of this is tourism. You might not know this, but this shirt that I wear in my videos is my homage to the late, great Steve Irwin, who famously and astutely said,
"If we can touch people about wildlife, then they want to save it. Because humans want to save things that they love. My job, my mission, the reason I've been put onto this planet is to save wildlife. And I thank you for coming with me."
Tourism helps people fall in love with crocodiles. Nile crocodiles have become a popular attraction for tourists who want to see these impressive reptiles up close, increasing the awareness of how incredible the Nile crocodile really is. This provides economic benefits to local communities, which also incentivizes locals to not kill crocs out of fear. No crocs, no tourism dollars. So having them around is a pretty big deal. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a bit about these incredible animals. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to film here at Reptilia. Thank you to Cody and all of the staff here. If you get the chance to check out one of the Reptilia locations in London, Vaughan, or Whitby, all in Ontario, you will not be disappointed. Thanks to Bryce for sharing his thoughts and experiences on the Nile crocodile. Please go check out his channel, he's great. Thanks again to my patrons and to you all for watching. If it wasn't for all of you watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing my videos, I would not be able to do this. And I love what I do, and it's possible thanks to all of you. I can't thank you guys enough. So, what's your favorite crocodile fact that you learned in today's video? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, remember to nurture all nature, even if it can kill you. Bye!
He's just smiling, looking at me like, yeah, I might eat you later.
He's not. Commenting and sharing. So thank you all.
Are you looking for the kids?
They went that way.
Over here. You're welcome.
No problem.
Okay, sorry. You want to try that last one again?
Yep.
Over 2,500 PSI. There goes my lights.